All right, so we're back again. This is Mrs. Nell, and this is one of my very favorite things to do. This is one of Mrs. Sintov's very favorite things to do, so let's get started. First of all, what is factoring? Well, to know what factoring is, you have to know what factors are. Factors are numbers that multiply together that end with a product. Okay? So if I have here 3a plus 7, and I have a times 3a plus 7. A is a factor, 3a plus 7 is a factor. If I have here negative 2m times the quantity of m squared plus 6m minus 1, 2m is a factor, and m squared plus 6m minus 1 are factors. All right? And so if I distributed the a times everything in the inside, then I would get the product of 3a squared plus 7a. If I distributed negative 2m to everything on the inside, then I would get negative 2m cubed minus 12m squared plus 2m. All right, so what is factoring? Well, factoring is the process of splitting an expression into a multiplication of simpler expressions, all right, or back into a product. All right, so now, here we go. What you're looking for is the greatest common factor of both terms, all right? So I have here 3x plus 12. What can I factor out of both terms? What is the greatest common factor of both 3x and 12? If you said 3, all right, you would be correct. So I can factor out of 3 from both x and 12. And when I do that, I get 3 times the quantity of x plus 4. And to check, you can use the distributive property and make sure that you did it correctly. So 3 times x is 3x, 3 times 4 is 12, 3x plus 12 is what we started out with. All right, let's look at number 2. Number 2 is 7y minus 7. What is my GCF here? And if you said 7, you are correct. Okay, I can factor out a 7 from both 7y and from 7. And I end up getting 7y divided by 7 is y, and 7 divided by 7 is 1. So I end up with 7 times the quantity of y minus 1. Do the distributive property to check your answer. 7 times y is 7y. 7 times negative 1 is minus 7. All right, this is problem number 6. Now, let's look at this. I have 4y squared minus 24y. All right, so 4y squared minus 24y. Well, I have here I can factor out a 4, but look, I can also factor out the variable y because I see it in both of my terms. Remember, it's what can I factor out? What's the greatest thing that I can factor out of both terms? And in this case, it's a 4y. So 4y squared divided by 4y is going to be y, minus 24y divided by 4y is going to be 6. So I have here a 4y times the quantity of y minus 6. All right. So now, this is number 9. What can I factor out of both of those terms? 15a squared b minus 30ab. Okay. So in order to factor out, I have to have the variables must be in all of the terms to factor out. Remember, it's what can I factor out of both of those terms? Or if it was a trinomial, what could I factor out of all 3 terms? All right. So now I can factor out a 15ab from both terms. And when I do that, I end up with 15ab divided, 15ab a squared b divided by 15ab is all I'm left with is a, and 30ab divided by 15ab, all I'm left with is 2. Now, I didn't write those down, but if you wanted to write down your division on the side of your paper, please feel free to do that, because that will help you see what you're actually dividing. You will get better and you will be able to do it in your head. But for now, if I were you, I would write it down, especially if you keep making mistakes. All right? So there is such a thing as prime polynomials. We have prime numbers. Remember, a prime number like 1, 3, 5, 7 means that it can only be divided by 1 in itself. Well, prime polynomials can only be divided by 1 in itself. And if I look here, okay, I have 5x minus 13y. Well, notice that 5 is prime and 13 is prime. I know that, but I have here an x and a y. They do not match, so guess what? There is nothing, there is no factor at all that I can factor out of both of those terms. Remember, you have to be able to divide them out of both terms. Okay, so this polynomial, which is number 15, on your handout, which is on the back side, is prime. All right, let's look at number 17. Look at this. I have a trinomial this time. And just like before, is there anything I can factor out of all 3 terms? So I have to be able to factor out, well, I noticed that each one of the coefficients is an even coefficient, 6, 14, and 10. So I know at the very least I can divide out of 2, and I think that that's all I can divide out of is a 2. But then I have a y in all 3 terms. Now, I'm looking for the y with the smallest exponent. That's what I'm looking for, because that's going to be my greatest common factor, is the variable with the smallest exponent. So I'm going to factor in a 2y from each term. All right, 6y to the 4th divided by 2y, 14y cubed divided by 2y, and minus 10y divided by 2y. And I'm left with 3y cubed plus 7y squared minus 5, and remember that's going to be times that 2y that I factored out from all 3 terms. All right, I want you to do a little practice before you get to class. Okay, and I want you to do problem number 3, problem number 4, problem number 13, and problem number 14. Write down everything you can write down, and then show it to us as you turn in your assignment. All right, until next time.